Parents, how did your son-daughter's significant other win you over? My son Jason had been dating Emily for about 6 months before she came over for our big family barbecue. I'll be honest, I was pretty protective of my tools and my old '78 Ford pickup truck. Most people weren't allowed near either one. That Sunday afternoon, the whole family was hanging out in the backyard when Jason started telling everyone about how I'd been working on restoring the truck for years. Emily's eyes lit up and she asked if she could take a look at it. I figured she'd just peek under the hood for a few seconds and say something nice. You know, typical girlfriend stuff. But instead, she started asking real questions. Not fake ones either. She pointed to a few spots where the chrome bumper was starting to pit and asked if I'd tried using this specific polish she'd heard about. At first I thought she was just trying to impress me, but then she got down on her knees and looked under the engine bay. She started explaining how she rebuilt a '72 Camaro engine with her grandfather when she was 15. Not just surface stuff either. She was talking about cam timing and compression ratios like she actually knew what she meant. Most people would have nodded and walked away by now, but Emily kept going. She noticed the carburetor wasn't sitting quite right and asked if I'd been having trouble with the idle. I was impressed, so I offered to let her take a ride in it. Emily laughed and said, "Only if I get to help fix that squeaky door hinge first." I hadn't even mentioned the hinge to anyone. She'd just noticed it when Jason got out earlier. She disappeared into my garage without asking and came back with exactly the right wrench. Didn't grab the wrong size or fumble around looking lost. She knew what she was doing. In about 15 minutes, that squeak was completely gone. The door closed smoother than it had in months. She wiped her hands on an old rag and grinned at me like it was no big deal. Jason was standing there looking shocked because he'd never seen his girlfriend work on anything mechanical before. Then around 4 o'clock, this massive summer storm rolled in out of nowhere. Everyone started running inside to avoid getting soaked. I was grabbing lawn chairs and racing toward the house when I saw Emily turn around and sprint back outside. She wasn't heading for cover like everyone else. She was running straight toward my open toolbox. I watched her throw a tarp over the whole thing and secure it with bungee cords while rain was pouring down her back. My expensive socket set and power tools stayed completely dry. She didn't ask permission or make a big show of it. She just saw something that needed protecting and took care of it. By the time she made it back to the porch, she was completely drenched. When I asked her why she did that, she just shrugged and said tools were too valuable to let them get ruined. She talked about how her grandfather taught her to respect good equipment because replacing it costs serious money. Most girlfriends would have run inside without thinking twice. Emily put my tools before her own comfort. Later that evening, after everyone had gone home, Jason asked what I thought of Emily. I told him she wasn't like the other girls he'd brought around. This one actually cared about the same things he'd grown up caring about. Not in a fake way either. She understood why that truck mattered to me and why keeping tools in good condition was important. The next weekend, Emily showed up with her own socket set and asked if I wanted help adjusting the truck's timing. Turns out she'd noticed it was running a little rough during our test drive. We spent 3 hours in the garage together, and she never once acted like she knew more than me or tried to take over. She just followed my lead and handed me the right tools before I even asked for them. By the time we finished, the engine was purring like it hadn't in years. Emily had grease under her fingernails and oil stains on her shirt, but she was grinning from ear to ear. That's when I knew Jason had found someone special. 6 months later, when he told me he was planning to propose, I told him he'd be crazy not to.